Aura Frames has been my go-to solution for all my holiday gifting moments. Because of Aura Frames, the world's smartest digital picture frame, I never have to struggle again to find the perfect holiday gift. I never know what to get people. I feel like my friends and family, they want something, they just automatically go get it. So by the holidays, there's no gift left to give except the gift of memories. With Aura Frames, you can upload unlimited free photos and videos. You just download the Aura app and connect to Wi-Fi. It's so simple. And you can preload photos to your Aura frame before it ships. And you can keep adding photos anytime from anywhere. So even post-holiday, you can still keep giving the gift of memories. And my favorite part, you can share photos and videos effortlessly, just straight from your phone all year long. It's really great for people who travel a lot or people who just want to keep their friends and family updated. So don't wait. Win the holidays now with Aura Frames. For a limited time, save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 off Aura's best-selling Carver matte frames, named #1 by Wirecutter, by using promo code RATCHET at checkout. That's AURA frames.com, promo code RATCHET. This deal is exclusive to listeners and frames sell out fast. So order yours now to get it in time for the holidays. Support the show by mentioning us at checkout. Terms and conditions apply. It's a new year and time to get back to feeling like yourself. If losing weight is one of your 2026 goals and you're ready to make progress you can count on, then Weight Loss by Hers might be the right fit for you. Through Hers, you're connected with a medical provider who determines if treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your treatment plan is personalized to support you in reaching your goals. Plus, you can access a range of treatment options like oral medication kits or GLP-1 injectables. Hers goes beyond medication by offering access to ongoing care, dosage and medication adjustments, lifestyle and nutrition tips, and 24/7 support with no hidden costs or membership fees. And with options starting at just $69 per month with a 10-month plan when paid upfront in full. Hers provides access to options that fit your goals and your budget. I love that. I love that Hers makes weight loss accessible and affordable. Hers even offers the convenience of 100% online care with licensed providers on the other side who learn your story and create a personalized plan to deliver healthy progress you can maintain. So no more yo-yoing, just steady results. Feel like your best self again. Visit forhers.com/ratchet to get a personalized, affordable plan that gets you. That's forhers.com/ratchet. Forhers.com/ratchet. Weight Loss by Hers is not available everywhere. Compounded drug products are not approved or evaluated for safety, effectiveness, or quality by the FDA. Prescription required. See website for full details, important safety information, and restrictions. Actual price depends on product and plan purchased. What do you want? Not family, not friends, not society at large, you. What do you want and how do you want it? Without the noise of external opinions, you may have the space to find out. On the dating app Field, curiosity leads the way towards intimacy with others and yourself. If life on Field interests you, here's a closer look at exactly what happens there. Now, I love Field because it doesn't gatekeep connection. In an age where dating apps create hurdles to finding your people, Field is built differently. My favorite part, there's no fast swipe culture. Sometimes attraction takes time. Here, you don't have to make a split decision in order to see another person. Skip profiles, go back, and take the time you need to decide if you really like someone. Are you ready to give Field a try? That's FEELD. Download Field on the App Store or Google Play. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and those who don't identify as either, you are listening to Ratchet and Respectable. Woo! I think this is probably going to go up a little later. I'm recording on Wednesday at 5 p.m., as opposed to Tuesday morning, which is when I usually record the podcast episodes. Not holding for breaking news. I just haven't been feeling well. My tummy's been sour for the last couple days. I've been in bed resting. So the podcast is a little delayed. It should go up on Wednesday, just a little later on Wednesday than what you are usually accustomed to. That said, last week for the podcast, I did 2 episodes. You got your regular Wednesday episode, which I usually record on Tuesdays, like I just mentioned. And then you got a bonus episode on Friday about the University of Michigan coach who crashed out. I think he crashed on Wednesday. And then I sat on the story for a couple days just to because it's real salacious. I wanted to let the facts come to light. There was a lot of speculation about crazy shit that may or may not have happened. So I wanted to give that a chance to sort itself out. And then Friday, I went ahead and recorded an episode. Literally, I had just turned the episode in. It was loading. And I knew he was going to be arraigned on Friday, but I just couldn't hold the episode any longer. But he was officially charged for illegal activity during his crash out. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, go back and listen to Friday's episode. So I'm just going to pick up from where that story left off on Friday. Detroit Free Press has the actual charging documents. The state of Michigan is charging him with 1 felony. That would be home invasion to the 3rd degree. And then there's count 2. There are 3 counts in total. There's stalking, specifically domestic relationship. So that is a misdemeanor, and that has the possibility of 1 year and or $1,000 or up to 5 years probation. Oh, I just want to go back. We talked about home invasion in the 3rd degree. We noted that was a felony. We didn't know the possible punishment for that. It's 5 years and or $2,000. And so count 3, breaking and entering, illegal entry without owner's permission, domestic relationship. That is also a misdemeanor. And that's also a possible punishment of 90 days and or $500. That's it. I mean, it's a misdemeanor, but still, I mean, B&E, the prosecutor in this case, they asked for a $25,000 cash bond for Moore to get out of jail. And then they also asked the judge to order a mental health evaluation, which I think is smart given his reaction to being fired. And then for what they're calling a tether. A GPS tether is what they're calling it. And I was like, an ankle monitor. Like, are we using tether as a euphemism for ankle monitor now? Okay. The prosecutor also asked that the court ban any contact with the victim. I think that's smart, including stalking behavior of any kind. The prosecutor also asked that Moore surrender his passport and any weapons that he may own. Fair. I think all those things are fair. Moore's attorney did agree to stop calling the ankle monitor a tether, and would not make contact with the woman who made the complaint, i.e., allegedly the mistress. Oh, here's a little detail too. The prosecutor notes that Moore and the victim, person whose house he broke into, had an intimate relationship for, quote, a number of years. But it says the victim broke up with Moore on Monday, and then he continued to text her. It's sort of implied that that's why she went to report their affair to the university. A couple other details, still reading on Detroit Free Press. According to the police, he popped up at the lady's house at 4:10 p.m. This was after ESPN had announced he'd been fired, but before Michigan confirmed ESPN's report. So apparently he broke into the woman's house. He didn't have a weapon when he broke in. And during the course of their argument back and forth, him acting a fool, whatever, he grabbed 2 butter knives. This is what's being reported from Detroit Free Press, and a pair of scissors from within the residence, and he threatened to harm himself. There's nothing in this Detroit Free Press article about threatening to harm the woman, but we have that information from a call that she made to dispatch saying that he had threatened to kill her and himself. I think it's notable here. I was reading on the New York Post. The University of Michigan has not fired the mistress. I saw some people speaking about that online, and they were like, hey, they were both involved in this affair. Why does she get to keep her job, but he doesn't? So Michigan's policy states there cannot be retaliation against anyone who reports a violation of the school's protocols for said relationships. Firing the mistress in this scenario would violate the university's policy. So he ain't got no job, but she still got a job. Okay, I'm reading this on New York Post. They have a detail that Detroit Free Press doesn't have. Allegedly, when Moore was threatening to kill himself, he said, quote, I'm going to kill myself. I'm going to make you watch. My blood is on your hands. You ruined my life. No, you ruined your life. You, sir, are responsible for your actions, like you cheating with your subordinate and then the university finding out and firing your ass. Like you did that. Your blood is on your hands. You did that. So many men be screaming about accountability like all day until, they actually got to be like accountable for their own shit. Oh dear. Also, last but not least, and this because I'm tired of talking about him too. Sheronne Moore, this was when I was like, oh, fuck him. You know that nigga? And I do mean nigga. He got out of jail on Friday. It was DMing an OnlyFans model. Like, sir, you just blew up your career. You just lost millions of dollars. You got a whole wife and 3 kids, including a newborn at home. You just lost your job, had an epic crash out, are like being nationally discussed and clowned, and you've been locked up for like 2 days away from your family, your little kid, and you DM an OnlyFans model? He was up in the DMs of a beautiful woman telling her that he thought that she would have more loyalty towards him in the situation. She screenshotted that and shared it, and it ended up on TMZ. I'm just like, what are you doing? What are you doing? The man's got problems. We'll keep following this story. He goes back to court on January 22nd. So we'll see what happens. I doubt he'll get jail time. He'll probably get some probation and have to pay a fine. More money going out of his household and he ain't got no job. My prayers are with his wife and children. Imagine you got to sit up in the house with this shit. I mean, you don't have to, but like they've been married for 10 years. They got 3 kids. I got the impression she was a stay-at-home mom, the wife, because nobody ever mentions her profession. And then they have a newborn. She's not in a situation really where she could just pack up all her shit and bounce on him. Like, she's still got to deal with him in some capacity. I mean, even if she left him, he's the father of her 3 kids. Like, she still has to deal with him for a lifetime. I have deep empathy. I know some folks would be like, oh, well, she's white, so I don't care. As a woman, that whole intersectionality shit, I feel for her. I do. I wish the wife and the kids the best. Because this is ungood. Speaking of ungood, we'll talk about our dear leader in a second and some of his comments. Blu Ivy she's 13 going on 14. She's a child. And the only reason I'm discussing this is because it's adults doing this dumb shit. She recently showed up to like an NBA game with her dad. It seems like Jay and Blue are like father-daughter besties. The little girl, because that's what she is, because she's 13 years old. She's a child. Little girl went to the basketball game with her dad. She's dressed like Aaliyah. She's fully clothed. She has an oversized Balenciaga jacket, which I only note because like it said Balenciaga on the collar. Some really like extra baggy jeans. Like she's dressed like it's the 90s. And then she has on like some like platform sneakers. Apparently they're Beyonce sneakers and now Blue is wearing them. And I was like, Blue is like mega tall. She and Beyonce have the same size feet, but whatever. Genetics are a funny thing. I don't know, nor do I care about the size of this child's feet. Her hair was blown out. It appeared to be like her actual hair, whatever. And she had on makeup. But people have been talking about Blue looking grown, or why is she wearing makeup? She looks so much older than her age. Some people are saying she looked like a 30-year-old woman. I was like, I know Black women like don't age like milk. if you halfway take care of yourself, you probably look younger than what your human years are. But there's no way that that little girl looks 30 or 20 even. But people just been going on and on and on and on and on. I saw this woman was talking about it on Threads. Her comment alone had like 5,000 responses. I was actually one of them. And I was like, hey, one, this is not your kid. So I want to just read to you exactly what I wrote. I just want to address this as like a trying to be sane adult in the room. For people who are critiquing like why a 13-year-old might have on makeup or be like, well, I didn't wear makeup when I was 13 and I don't allow my daughter to wear makeup when she's 13, which if you don't feel your daughter should wear makeup, then your daughter shouldn't wear makeup. Blu Ivy is not your daughter. Okay. At 13, you and neither your child, right, are not sitting courtside and walking red carpets and having professional photographers take your picture with HD lenses. And then those images are shown to literally millions of people around the world. So Blu Ivy, I'm not even sure exactly what basketball game this is, and I don't care enough to go back and look. She's in America. I'm in South Africa, and we're having the discussion here. So like literally, like globally, these pictures are circulating. So your image was not shown to literally millions of people around the world. You also do not have thousands of whole adults parsing every pore on your face. So the image that is accompanying this thread that has like 5,300 to be exact responses as of right now, it's a zoomed in portrait. It's like I can see all the details of her little pretty face. My suggestion is that as adults, especially because teenagers are awful enough with their commentary, right? Leave this child be. Leave her be. Because her father is literally standing right there next to her. Jay-Z has never had a problem speaking his mind. If he thought Blu Ivy shouldn't have on makeup or shouldn't have on anything that she has on, he knows how to open his mouth as her father and say, take that off. I don't like it. Take it off. You're not wearing that. You're not wearing your hair like that. You're not putting on the mascara, the blush, the lip gloss or lipstick, whatever it was. But he's fully capable of opening his mouth. This isn't a case where like she's gone out to school in one outfit, like the conservative outfit that the family is fine with, and then she's like changed in the bathroom and now she's wearing something that her parents would never approve of. Her father's literally right there. Let that little girl be. As adults, just let that little girl be, please. Criticizing a child is bad enough, right? But also, like, you look fucking crazy criticizing a child. These are conversations that if you insist on having them, you should be having in your group chat, not like with the American public. Oh, I have this on my list. I don't particularly care one way or another. Like whatever Kimora said he did, he did. Kimora Simmons and Russell Simmons are beefing. Kimora has a new show out. Remember Kimora's show from like way back in the day? I wasn't super duper into it. Like I wasn't into like the mommy content. But they rebooted Kimora's reality show and her daughters who were, I don't know, maybe like 3 and 5, 3 and 6 or something. Small girls. They're now all grown up. I think they're like 23 and 25, 23 and 26, but like young women in their 20s, like finished college, like wholehearted adults. Watching them now, and by watching, I mean, I've seen clips of the show online. I haven't actually like watched the show, but they are funny. Like they're funny. I like their little mother-daughter relationship. I think Aoki is freaking hysterical. I think they're a fun watch. Like, I can't wait to get back to the States and watch the show. I mean, theoretically, I could like put my VPN on here and watch it. I just got a lot going on. I don't have time to sit in the house. So Kimora's been doing a lot of interviews and she's been chatting more than usual because she's, promoting her show. So she posted online that she doesn't have a relationship with any of her children's fathers. I think she said something like men are weird, something like that. But she didn't specifically call out anyone. To my knowledge, Russell Simmons is the only children's father, who responded to her. He was none too happy about the comment. Let's see what he said. He said, I gave you $50,000 a month for 20 years. He says, I was your best only friend. I'm the godfather to your other 3 kids until one day you stole my stock. He says, I've been fighting for my kids' love and my bread ever since. You threatened that if I sued you, I would never speak to my kids again. there are two sides to every story. A couple things about this. Was it Kimora who fact checked this or like somebody who's like in the circle? I don't remember. The fact check was, let's put this in perspective, like it's in court documents. He didn't like just give her tens of $1,000s per month. In fact, it wasn't $50,000. It was $40,000 for child support. So it wasn't just money that he was just like, freely giving to Kimora for no reason. It was giving money to Kimora for being the primary caretaker, doing the primary raising of their children. And also, he didn't pay it for 20 years. I can't remember what the exact number was. It was closer to like 12 or 13 because once the girls were of a certain age, he no longer had to pay the child support. So just like, just get some factual things right. He said, you threatened that if I sued you, which he did accuse Kimora of stealing the stock. And I had to look this up. They actually go to court January 2nd, 2026. He said, you threatened that if I sued you, he did, I would never speak to my kids again. So he seems to imply here that Kimora has turned the children against him. I recall maybe like a year and change ago, Aoki had released, I think she went on Instagram stories. I know there was a video involved. She had an audio of her being on the phone with her dad and him yelling at her and cursing her out. I'm sorry, it was more than a year ago. It was June 2023. And Aoki stated that her father would call from Bali and he would curse and scream at her during phone calls to the point that she would have panic attacks. And she shared a screen recording of a FaceTime call that appeared to show her father yelling at her. And she said he does that, quote, every phone call. She said her father was filled with anger and rage. He would yell and scream at her about a legal situation involving her mother. I think that was the stop. And Aoki, she shared text messages that she sent to her father explaining that she was no longer speaking to him because the interactions with him were giving her severe anxiety and panic attacks. And she was choosing to prioritize her mental health. Kimora supported her daughter's claims, and she said that Russell had been, quote, threatening my kids' lives and that his behavior was abuse. Russell Simmons issued an apology to his daughters via Instagram, and he said that he was deeply, all caps, sorry for being frustrated and yelling at them. And he said that he loves his daughters more than he loves himself. Kimora actually has responded to Russell. She took some jabs at him about, like, why he's over there living in Bali and all the women that have accused him of, versions of sexual harassment or assault or rape. She also pointed out that the children are very grown. They are adults in their early 20s, and that if they wanted to have a relationship with him, they could, but they have opted not to. Let's see. I have her response. I think this is from Stories. She says, my quote unquote girls are grown women. You know these are lies. Why are you typing from thousands of miles away in a non-extradition country? Go negotiate and answer your accusers. End quote. Yeah, he's on some bullshit. And he has this upcoming court case with Kimora. Let me just double check that. We'll follow it if it's really interesting. Oh, it's a jury trial. Russell Simmons is suing ex-wife Kimora Lee Simmons and her estranged husband, Tim Lessner. The case revolves around a dispute over millions of dollars worth of shares in the energy drink company Celsius. Russell Simmons alleges that Kimora and Tim conspired to use his Celsius stock shares as collateral for Tim Lessner's, because he has some shit too, for his bail and legal fees related to a separate money laundering scandal, and that they used this stock money without his consent. And Kimora denies the claims. She says Russell no longer had ownership interest in the shares when they were used. It notes here the former couple has been engaged in a heated legal battle since Russell filed the lawsuit in 2021. They are also fighting in federal court over who owns the stocks. Whatever Kimora said happened. Final answer. Aura Frames has been my go-to solution for all my holiday gifting moments. Because of Aura Frames, the world's smartest digital picture frame, I never have to struggle again to find the perfect holiday gift. I never know what to get people. I feel like my friends and family, they want something, they just automatically go get it. So by the holidays, there's no gift left to give except the gift of memories. With Aura Frames, you can upload unlimited free photos and videos. You just download the Aura app and connect to Wi Fi. It's so simple. And you can preload photos to your Aura frame before it ships. And you can keep adding photos anytime from anywhere. So even post holiday, you can still keep giving the gift of memories. And my favorite part, you can share photos and videos effortlessly, just straight from your phone all year long. It's really great for people who travel a lot or people who just want to like keep their friends and family updated. So don't wait. Win the holidays now with Aura Frames. For a limited time, save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 off Aura's best-selling Carver matte frames, named #1 by Wirecutter, by using promo code RATCHET at checkout. That's AURA frames.com. Promo code RATCHET. This deal is exclusive to listeners and frames sell out fast. So order yours now to get it in time for the holidays. Support the show by mentioning us at checkout. Terms and conditions apply. It's a new year and time to get back to feeling like yourself. If losing weight is one of your 2026 goals and you're ready to make progress you can count on, then Weight Loss by Hers might be the right fit for you. Through Hers, you're connected with a medical provider who determines if treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your treatment plan is personalized to support you in reaching your goals. Plus, you can access a range of treatment options like oral medication kits or GLP-1 injectables. Hers goes beyond medication by offering access to ongoing care, dosage and medication adjustments, lifestyle and nutrition tips, and 24/7 support with no hidden costs or membership fees. And with options starting at just $69 per month with a 10-month plan when paid upfront in full. Hers provides access to options that fit your goals and your budget. I love that. I love that Hers makes weight loss accessible and affordable. Hers even offers the convenience of 100% online care with licensed providers on the other side who learn your story and create a personalized plan to deliver healthy progress you can maintain. So no more yo-yoing, just steady results. Feel like your best self again. Visit forhers.com/ratchet to get a personalized, affordable plan that gets you. That's forhers.com/ratchet. Forhers.com/ratchet. Weight loss by Hers is not available everywhere. Compounded drug products are not approved or evaluated for safety, effectiveness, or quality by the FDA. Prescription required. See website for full details, important safety information, and restrictions. Actual price depends on product and plan purchased. We need to talk about Dear Leader. Two things to talk about with him. One of them is this Vanity Fair story that was done on the president's chief of staff, Susie Wiley. I'll be honest with you, I'd never heard this lady's name before whenever this Vanity Fair story job. I never really thought about who his chief of staff was. She's not talked about very often, which apparently is very intentional. She was like, I'm a background person, sort of, because she did just do this article with Vanity Fair. Vanity Fair had a writer, Chris Whipple. He's a veteran journalist. He is also an author. He had multiple sit downs with Susie Wiles over the course of, I guess, since January. I want to say that I read it was 8 interviews or 11 interviews. It was an excessive amount of interviews. But he was like, I usually would talk to her Sundays after church, like when she was folding clothes. I've only read part 1 of this interview. I can't get a clear read on what this exactly is. She's more candid than I would expect anyone to be when speaking about their boss. And I can't figure out if it's, and it could be both, if it's she hates him, maybe not as much as the rest of us do, but there's hate there. And so she just is tired of covering for the bullshit. I don't think that there's a way you could read this article and walk away thinking that this woman is stupid. There are people for sure in the Trump administration that I think are just like dumb as fucking rocks. This lady is not that. I can't figure out why she was so candid in very unflattering ways about many people in the Trump administration, including Trump himself, and that also many policies or actions that have been taken by the administration. She's critical publicly, I mean, to a journalist. And I can't figure out why. My other theory here is being a journalist, a good journalist, is a skill. It's not just about getting the access. It's not just about asking the questions. It's about asking the right questions the right way to get the responses that you want. It's also, if you do it really well, psychological, right? Like you get people to trust you. Oprah would always say, people just want to be heard. That's how people would come on the show and they would talk about all sorts of, deep, dark secrets, things that people wouldn't tell their best friend. They would get on stage at the Oprah show with a microphone attached to them with a studio audience, knowing that cameras were rolling and that footage, those confessions, whatever they said, would be broadcast to millions of people, possibly around the world. And they would say it anyway. And Oprah said, because ultimately people just want to be heard. And so I wonder if that's the case here with this woman. Maybe I have three theories that she just was speaking freely because the journalist is just that good. She got comfortable. He listened to her. It's mentioned in the article that she's recently divorced. Well, recent enough. She has grown children. She works for, and not even just because it's the Trump administration, but because she works for the White House. Anyone who works for the White House, works for a congressman, has basically no life. Is it possible that, this reporter came in and she doesn't have a lot of people that she can talk to, and he's one of the people that listened? And so she told him like the good, bad, ugly, and like her real thoughts on things that she probably shouldn't have been sharing her real thoughts about. My other theory is I think sometimes people forget that the recorder is on. And that may seem crazy because it's like I know that I've scheduled this interview and I'm sitting here with a person. And I mean, it's not like the recorder is in your bag. It's usually like placed right on the table to get prime sound of the journalist asking questions and the person giving responses to those questions. So it's not like you don't see the recorder, right? I remember being on The Thing We Don't Talk About. And when we were taping a scene, the first thing they would do is, like if it's in my house, for instance, they would literally come in and they'd move the furniture around and they would tape lights of various sorts to the ceiling to make sure that the scene was well lit. Somebody would come and they would attach a microphone either to my collar or they would tape it in between my boobs or the top of my neck. And then I'd have like a battery pack to keep the microphone running either in my bra or to the back of my pants or maybe like to my Spanx. Then there would be like in every scene that we're recording, there would at least be two people holding like gigantic cameras from different angles. And then there would be two or three minimum other production people who were off camera, but always in the room with us, right? And that's just like if it's a scene with me and one other person. All of this happened every single time we recorded a scene because that's what it was. We'd be asked to say things, then we'd be asked to repeat them, make a different facial expression when you say it, things like that. Like it's a very highly produced process. I say all that to say, even with all that going on, I would still forget that the cameras were there because they were just always there. I would say like for 85% of the time, I was aware of the camera. I'm thinking like, watch what you say because you're being recorded. But then there'd be like 15% of the time where I would just absolutely forget. Like I'd forget they were there and I'd say something that was like, my honest thought, my honest feeling, like roll my eyes. Like maybe the person I'm rolling them at isn't looking, but the cameras are. And I just wasn't thinking about it. I'm wondering if maybe that is part of what happened here with the chief of staff speaking so freely. Like, did she just like kind of forget that the recorder was there? and that the person she's having this conversation with is actually a journalist and not one of her friends. And again, I've only read part one of this story. The journalist says that Susie Wiles, he says he's spoken to her regularly about the contents and consequences of the Epstein files. It's not in this first part, but apparently in the second part, she acknowledges that Trump's name is in the Epstein files. He talked to her about ICE's brutal mass deportations, talked about Elon Musk killing U.S. aid, the deployment of National Guard to U.S. cities, the demolition of the East Wing, the lethal strikes on boats allegedly being piloted by drug smugglers, acts that many have called war crimes. And again, I'm reading from literally the second paragraph of this Vanity Fair story. She talked to him about Trump's physical and mental health and whether he will defy the 22nd Amendment and try to stay on for a third term. The writer gives you a little taste of the things that Wiles talks about so freely while he was interviewing her. He makes a little list. He says, Trump, she told me, has an alcoholic's personality. She says Vance's conversion from never Trumper, he was one of the first public officials to refer to Trump as Hitler. This is before Trump got into office the second time. She said Vance's conversion from never Trumper to MAGA acolyte, she says, has been, quote, sort of political. She says the vice president has been, quote, a conspiracy theorist. She says Russell Vought, the architect of the notorious Project 2025 and head of the Office of Management and Budget, is, quote, a right-wing absolute zealot. He asked her what she thought of Elon Musk reposting a tweet about public sector workers killing millions under Hitler, Stalin, and Congressman Mao. She replied, speaking about Elon Musk, I think that's when he's microdosing. But she said she doesn't have firsthand knowledge. Just in case you thought this was like another puff piece profile, everybody, speaking corporate speak, if you will, on the record, this is not that. He refers to Susie Wiles as the most powerful person in Trump's White House other than the president himself. And unlike any chief of staff before her, she is a woman. Hold on. Susie Wiles is the only name that comes up. Are you kidding me? First woman to serve as White House chief of staff. And this is what we got? Oh, God. It's like putting Clarence Thomas in the Supreme Court to replace Thurgood Marshall. It's like you put a black guy, but you put this black guy. Like you want to root for everybody black, but like this? You want to root for a woman, but like this? Can't do it. She says of Donald Trump, this administration, she says, I've not seen him throw anything. I've not seen him scream. I didn't see that really horrible behavior that people talk about and that I actually experienced years ago. So you're acknowledging that shit everybody was saying he did. Everybody else denied it. You're acknowledging it happened. Okay. This is a little about Susie's backstory. It says Wiles and Trump are creatures of that same bygone era. And by that, they mean the whole world of Copacabana and Sammy Davis Jr. and all those things that he wants to talk about. Translation, she's old and out of touch too. Okay. Her dad was an alcoholic. She says that's what enables her to deal better with Trump. She says she's an expert on big personalities. Trump has, quote, an alcoholic's personality. He operates with a view that there's nothing he can't do. Nothing. Zero. Nothing. This talks about how she got into politics. She said Trump liked her because her dad was famous. She talks about him berating her once over a poll at a Miami golf club. She used to work for Ron DeSantis, but they fell out. Basically, like Ron shitted on her after she got him into office. Her version of the story. Let's see. She was not on board with the president pardoning all 1,500 of the January 6th convicts. She said she was on board with the people who were happenstancers, that's her word, or didn't do anything violent. She talks more about Elon Musk and Doge. She says, quote, the challenge with Elon is keeping up with him. He's an avowed ketamine user, and he sleeps in a sleeping bag in the executive office building in the daytime. He's an odd duck, as I think geniuses are. You know, it's not helpful, but he is his own person. She says when he canceled U.S. aid, she was initially aghast. She said, because I think that anybody who pays attention to government and has ever paid attention to U.S. aid believed, as I did, that they do very good work. She said no rational person could think that the U.S. aid process was a good one. Nobody. It says Wiles is responsible for picking Trump's cabinet. She calls them, quote, a world-class cabinet, better than anything I could have conceived of. Is that so? And Vanity Fair editorializes, Trump's cabinet members are either one of the least qualified presidential teams in history or, to hear Wiles tell it, disruptors. The only people with the balls to take on an entrenched deep state. She likes Pete Hegseth. She likes RFK. She refers to him as, quote, my Bobby and, quote, quirky Bobby. She says he pushes the envelope. Some would say too far, but I say in order to get back in the middle, you have to push it too far. This is the lady I call smart. She's talking about the deportations. She said, quote, I will concede that we've got to look harder at our process for deportation. And then he spoke to her again in April. Vanity Fair notes, by April, in cities across the country, masked ICE agents were snatching people off the street, throwing them in vans, and zip tying and frog marching them into makeshift deportation camps. Many were U.S. citizens or entitled to be here. To which Wiles responds, if somebody is a known gang member who has a criminal past and you're sure and you can demonstrate it, it's probably fine to send them to El Salvador or whatever. That's not legal. That's not due process. She continues, she says, but if there is a question, I think our process has to lean toward a double check. Vanity Fair points out to her, ICE agents arrested and deported two mothers along with their children, ages 7, 4, and 2, to Honduras. The children were U.S. citizens, and the 4-year-old was being treated for stage 4 cancer. She said, quote, it could be an overzealous Border Patrol agent. I don't know. She says, I can't understand how you make that mistake, but somebody did. On tariffs, she says, quote, it's been more painful than I expected. Yeah, so she's speaking very candidly in this interview. I wish I could know like what prompted her to do that. I think it's also worth noting here that she has denied. I'm reading this on People. It says Susie Wiles denies telling Vanity Fair that Elon Musk is, quote, an avowed ketamine user. All the man got to do is play the tape. Lady, don't do that. Don't do that. When the Times asked her, she said, that's ridiculous. I wouldn't have said it and I wouldn't know. And so the New York Times then reached out to the writer and was like, hey, so Wiles is saying that she didn't say what she said, to which the journalist responded with audio of the lady saying it. Oh, dear. The New Republic notes this interview has been a disaster for Wiles. She inexplicably gave Vanity Fair and the general public even more fodder against an already tumultuous administration. And they talk about Trump's alcoholic personality. AG Pam Bondi whiffed on her handling of the Epstein files. I guess whiffed is white people's word for fumble. So just very quickly, as much commentary as there has been on the contents of this Vanity Fair story, there's also been lots of commentary on the photos accompanying it. One of them is the Nazi press secretary. There's a zoom in on her that's like literally just like all up in her face. Like, remember how I described Blu Ivy and I was like, the camera's all up in her face. It's even closer than that. Like, it's literally like you can't even fully see her cheeks. It's literally like the center of her face. It's so zoomed in that you can see where her recent lip injections that she probably had put in. Like, she probably like fluffed her top lip for the photo shoot so she could look her best. You got to do your Botox and stuff like that 2 weeks in advance to give it a chance to heal. It looks like she probably got it done maybe 24, maybe at the latest 48 hours before the photo shoot. But you can literally see like the injection sites. Ungood. Very ungood. What do you want? Not family, not friends, not society at large. You. What do you want and how do you want it? Without the noise of external opinions, you may have the space to find out. On the dating app field, curiosity leads the way towards intimacy with others and yourself. Desires, interests, the space to change again and again. There's room for all of it here. If you have a fantasy, say it. If you have a desire, include it in your bio. You just may get what you want. If life on field interests you, here's a closer look at exactly what happens there. Now, I love field because it doesn't gatekeep connection. In an age where dating apps create hurdles to finding your people, field is built differently. They don't guide your desire. You will be neither punished or rewarded for exploring your desires, unless that's your thing. In a place where there's no pressure to be anything, who will you be? My favorite part, there's no fast swipe culture. Sometimes attraction takes time. Here, you don't have to make a split decision in order to see another person. Skip profiles, go back, and take the time you need to decide if you really like someone. Are you ready to give Field a try? That's FEELD. Download Field on the App Store or Google Play.
All right, y'all, gather round because Monet Exchange from Sibling Rivalry is here with an announcement. This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Google Gemini. Now listen, the girls over at Google said, Monet, tell the children, so I'm telling you. U.S. college students get Google Gemini's Pro Plan free for 1 year. Use the best model in the world for multimodal understanding, so whether you're uploading a video to get feedback on your presentation, uploading a photo of your homework to ask for help, or transcribing notes from a lecture you missed, Gemini 3 Pro can help. And baby, if I had this in college, she would have been unstoppable. Picture it. Monet Exchange in the library, uploading a picture of my music theory homework like, Gemini, please help a diva out. Or recording my rehearsal videos for feedback instead of crying in the practice room for 3 hours. This would have been life-changing. Now, back to the goods. Sign up to get more access to Google's most accurate model, Gemini 3 Pro. Unlimited image uploads, pro-level image editing, higher limits in Notebook LM, Gemini in Gmail and Docs, 2 terabytes of storage, and more. You heard me, 2 terabytes. That's enough space to store every vocal warm-up, drag race look, and every photo your aunt sends you of her plants. Visit gemini.google/students to learn more and sign up. Terms apply.
What do you want? Not family, not friends, not society at large, you. What do you want and how do you want it? Without the noise of external opinions, you may have the space to find out. On the dating app field, curiosity leads the way towards intimacy with others and yourself. Desires, interests, the space to change again and again. There's room for all of it here. If you have a fantasy, say it. If you have a desire, include it in your bio. You just may get what you want. If life on field interests you, here's a closer look at exactly what happens there. Now, I love field because it doesn't gatekeep connection. In an age where dating apps create hurdles to finding your people, field is built differently. They don't guide your desire. You will be neither punished or rewarded for exploring your desires, unless that's your thing. In a place where there's no pressure to be anything, who will you be? My favorite part, there's no fast swipe culture. Sometimes attraction takes time. Here, you don't have to make a split decision in order to see another person. Skip profiles, go back, and take the time you need to decide if you really like someone. Are you ready to give Field a try? That's FEELD. Download Field on the App Store or Google Play. Also, how do I want to say this? Because I don't like to talk about people's looks. People's outfits are one thing because that's, something you can change, but people's actual look. Look, let me just give a general all around. Hate and anger and evil especially will age the fuck out of you. No parts of this woman looks 27 years old. What's going on under her eyes? I am almost 20 years older than this woman. And I mean, I'm also Black, but still, I don't have like her eye crinkles and all of that stuff. And it's not because there have not been periods of my life where like I drink like a fish. Good shit though. But still, the woman is aged badly. And I was like, this is what you look like? Even when you're getting Botox at 27? Ma'am, you need to let the hate out your heart and go to LA and let some good folks work on your face because this DC actually does have some good Botox people. You need somebody who can clean you up better than that, sis. Whoever you paying, and you probably overpaying them, they're not doing right by you. If you want to fix your face, like, so be it. But like, actually, like, fix the shit, sis. Like this, mm-mm, mm-mm. So yeah, the photographer of this Vanity Fair piece, Christopher Anderson, another renowned photographer. I mean, obviously he's working for Vanity Fair. He did these folks no favors. So like, the zoom in on Nazi Barbie was bad enough. Many of the photos that were taken here, you can tell from the photos, and I think more important, the unretouching of the photos, the intentional bad lighting of the photos, that the photographer is likely a raging liberal and hates all these people. Like, one of the pictures is, Nazi Barbie, who has like that big yap, 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 yap all the time, like a little chihuahua, right? They put her next to this like gigantic wingback chair, and you can see how small she looks. It's Vanity Fair. They could have given all of these people stylists, choosing not to, allowing them to pick their own clothes and just photographing them, and clearly not having someone on set to pull it down, or, pull it in the back, or tailor it a little bit just to, make sure everything fits as it should. They didn't do that. They let them look how they look. And the truth of the matter is, they don't look very good. Stephen Miller, somebody easily could have said to Stephen Miller, like, pull your jacket over a little bit. So, just to, or sit up straighter, or suck it in, or something like that. No one did that for him. So his belly is just like, flailing in the photos. There's a couple photos. Mark Rubio, for instance, he's standing next to like a light switch. It shows how tiny he is. The same thing is done with JD Vance, who I thought JD Vance was actually like tall. JD Vance is like 6'2". He's another one. He's standing next to like a light switch. He just looks so small. One of the jokes about JD Vance is how he looks like a grown-up Chucky doll. He looks like a stuffed doll because of where he's positioned, and then the angle of the shot, and then how he's standing. Like, it's just, everybody looks like a hot fucking mess. One last thing before we wrap up this episode, I want to talk about Dear Leader 4547 and the murder, because I think that's what we've established now, homicide, of Rob Reiner, actor, director. He and his wife, their son has been charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder. This was just released 15 minutes ago, in the stabbing deaths of his parents. The Reiners were found dead in their Los Angeles home on Sunday. I'm reading this on yahoo.com. I did not know who Rob Reiner was. I did, but I didn't. So, like, All in the Family was on TV before I was born. I've seen reruns. It's not a show that I watched with any regularity. Like, I know who Archie is. I know who Edith is. I know they have a daughter. I know they have a son-in-law. I never knew what the son-in-law, I don't know his name on the show. I didn't know that his name was Rob Reiner. I didn't know that he was an actor. I didn't know that he was a director. I've seen Stand By Me, obviously. I've seen The Princess Bride many times. I've seen When Harry Met Sally. I've watched Misery, A Few Good Men. I'm familiar with a lot of his work. I don't think I've seen Ghost of Mississippi. This sounds like something I'd be interested in, but I've never seen it. I was aware of his work, obviously, but not aware of him. Because I was not aware of him, I was not aware that he was a very public Democrat. I wasn't aware that he was very anti-Trump. I mean, millions of people are. I wasn't aware that he was a huge advocate for gay marriage and for getting the legislation for gay marriage passed. Didn't know any of these things. By the time I heard of him, the president of the United States, and I specifically mentioned the title because I want to invoke all the power and the weight that it holds, kind of like makes fun or celebrates, if you will, the death of this man. He's 78 years old, found dead, murdered, in fact. Somehow, the president of the United States makes this tragedy all about himself. He went on his little social media platform, like he always does, and started ranting. This one's worse than, it's not the worst one, but it's high up there with like some of the worst shit he said. He blames the death, the murder of this man. He says it was reportedly due to anger he caused others through a mind-crippling disease known as Trump derangement syndrome. He was known to have driven people crazy by his raging obsession of President Donald J. Trump. Trump has also started referring to himself in third person as of late, and I'm like, ugh, when you thought it couldn't get any worse. Trump referred to Reiner as tortured and struggling. It was just such an ugly post. And then for the details to come out that the killings, plural, because it was him and his wife, were not, in fact, politically motivated. It was some sort of family conflict, family drama, seeing as how the son is the person that they have in custody. It was just just a nasty way to speak about someone who was murdered. The deceased podcaster from a few months ago, the one with the grifting widow, who, by the way, CBS just did this town hall with the new head of CBS, and the ratings were abysmal. I'm reading this on The Independent. Correction, it's not the new head of CBS. It's the editor-in-chief of CBS News, Barry Weiss. It said the network's ratings declined by a whopping 20% compared to the year-to-date average for the hour, which previously was airing a third hour of 48 hours. And then for the all-important 25 to 50-year demographic, ratings tanked 44%. I guess that's a grand opening, grand closing for that pairing. Advertisers pulled out long before it happened. Nobody tuned in. And I was like, why would they? For what it's worth, ABC News notes that, quote, Trump's harsh comments on Rob Reiner's murder spark rare Republican pushback. He says terrible things all the time. I don't understand why people are just sort of reacting to this one. Is it because he's saying about a white man? Remember women being up in arms about quiet, piggy. I don't remember everyone going crazy about it, but it seems like everyone is going crazy about his comments about Rob Reiner. Not even his wife, but just Rob Reiner. Huh. Maybe because he made movies that were beloved. I think that might actually be it. I feel like if I didn't know who he was, there are probably a lot of people who didn't know who he was, or maybe only knew him through his work. Maybe they didn't know his politics, and they're like, you're speaking ill of the guy who made Stand By Me and The Princess Bride. Those are good fucking movies. All right, that's the episode. Apologies again for being a little bit late. So we'll be back next week. You're definitely not getting a bonus episode this week because I head back home on Sunday and I've got much to do before I get on this plane. I only have, 3 full days before I go back to America. I'm feeling better, so I'll make the most of it. All right, talk soon next week, I think. Bye. What do you want? Not family, not friends, not society at large, you. What do you want and how do you want it? Without the noise of external opinions, you may have the space to find out. On the dating app field, curiosity leads the way towards intimacy with others and yourself. If life on field interests you, here's a closer look at exactly what happens there. Now, I love Field because it doesn't gatekeep connection. In an age where dating apps create hurdles to finding your people, Field is built differently. My favorite part, there's no fast swipe culture. Sometimes attraction takes time. Here, you don't have to make a split decision in order to see another person. Skip profiles, go back, and take the time you need to decide if you really like someone. Are you ready to give Field a try? That's FEELD. Download Field on the App Store or Google Play.
All right, y'all, gather round because Monet Exchange from Sibling Rivalry is here with an announcement. This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Google Gemini. Now listen, the girls over at Google said, Monet, tell the children, so I'm telling you. U.S. college students get Google Gemini's Pro Plan free for 1 year. Use the best model in the world for multimodal understanding, so whether you're uploading a video to get feedback on your presentation, uploading a photo of your homework to ask for help, or transcribing notes from a lecture you missed, Gemini 3 Pro can help. And baby, if I had this in college, she would have been unstoppable. Picture it. Monet Exchange in the library, uploading a picture of my music theory homework like, Gemini, please help a diva out. or recording my rehearsal videos for feedback instead of crying in the practice room for 3 hours. This would have been life-changing. Now, back to the goods. Sign up to get more access to Google's most accurate model, Gemini 3 Pro, unlimited image uploads, pro-level image editing, higher limits in Notebook LM, Gemini in Gmail and Docs, 2 terabytes of storage, and more. You heard me, 2 terabytes. That's enough space to store every vocal warm-up, drag race look, and every photo your aunt sends you of her plants. Visit gemini.google/students to learn more and sign up. Terms apply.